Well, guys, it's time. It's time for a hot take by the nerdy movie guy. So I just saw Joker 2. That's just what everyone's calling it. Come on, everyone's calling it Joker 2. And I know a lot of people are not liking this one. So here's the hot take. I like the movie a lot, and I don't understand what all the hate is about. So obviously, I'm going to have to explain. This movie is not what can be compared to a generic comic book movie. This movie is not like the Batman movies we've had. There is no action, there's no vigilante fights, there's no thematic explosions or anything. This is about a man slowly going insane. That's what we saw in the first one, and I did not see anything much different in this one either. So, where's the disconnect? Why are people not liking this movie? Well, I can think of a couple reasons why. So, one, the fact that it's a musical. So, okay, I can see why people wouldn't like that, alright? I can see why people don't want to see Joker singing. But the way I explain it, or at least the way it makes sense to me, is music is very much a coping mechanism. Ask anyone who's ever been depressed once. Ask anyone who's ever been sad. Ask someone, has music ever, once in your life, helped you feel better? You guys will see the results. So, for this movie, Joker, there is no ace chemicals. There is no dramatic explanation. There's no scientific explanation for how Joker is Joker. He's just a guy. There is no comic style dramatic transformation. All right, this is just a guy. So it is very understandable that he would have human emotions as well, such as coping with music. So, okay, did they have to show Joker and, as the newest character, Harley Quinn, dancing around singing together? I guess it wasn't entirely necessary, but I think it made the film a little more fun. It made it, to me, feel more lighthearted than the depressing, traumatic story that is going on in this movie. So I think that just gave us a little bit of a glimmer of the movie magic, if there's no other way for me to put it. Without the music, this is a severely depressing film. And I know it's what the first one was, but this one, it just gives you a little bit of a break from the very intense moments and scenes happening. So for me, the music was a plus for this movie. So I can see why that wouldn't appeal to everyone. Here's the next reason I think people aren't liking it. I think there could be some. I don't think this is the majority, but I think there are some that maybe didn't watch a preview or just heard the first one was good, or maybe last minute saw the first one so they can rush and go see the new one. I don't think a lot of people may have known it was a musical, or a lot of people didn't know that. I think a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, I think some people expected something like the Batman or the Dark Knight or Batman v Superman. They expected big vigilante fights. And that's the thing, there is no Batman in this universe. In the first one, we see Bruce Wayne, but we don't have Batman in this universe. There's no Batman to stop Joker. There's no Batman from to fight. That is not what this movie is, and that was never meant to be what this was. It was never supposed to be where this was headed. Now, I know there's talks that the director doesn't want to do another. There's no Joker 3. There's no, whatever they're going to do, the director's not coming back. But that doesn't mean the studio won't want another movie. Now, I know this was kind of a Warner Brothers suggested movie, and James Gunn is going in different directions. So this could be just scrapped completely, but we'll see what happens, guys. So those are the reasons I believe people aren't liking this movie, is people aren't connecting with music the way that Joker connected with music, the way I connect with music, the way that I'm sure many of you connect with music. Music helps us feel better. It helps us cope. It helps us process. And that's what I saw in this movie. So if that is the reason people aren't liking it, then that's perfectly fine. I just don't understand it. But I respect if that's what people think. So, sort of diving into why I like this movie. Not only was the music a sort of glimmer in this depressing movie. I think it showed a realistic version of someone mentally going through everything he's gone through. So he's in Arkham, but in this movie, we see the guards basically treat him like crap. They're beating him. They're making fun of him. They're constantly, they're basically bullying him is what it is. And as we've seen in so many other comic book movies, when the guards are beating on their prisoners, usually they get to go home. That's usually how the story ends up, but that's not what's happening here. The guards are getting away with everything, and they're just being absolutely cruel to him. And that's sort of the theme that the first one had. This is a very cruel Gotham. It is a very gritty Gotham. And so, as far as that's concerned, every scene he's in Arkham, he's constantly being bullied by someone, or beaten by someone, or dragged by someone unnecessarily. And so, the big thing with this one is we get the idea wrestling with maybe the characters are trying to explain Joker. Joker's lawyer, Arthur Fleck's lawyer, is trying to say that he has split personalities, and Joker is one of those personalities. And so they're trying to use that as a reason to let him go. And as an audience, we sort of guess that maybe that's where they're going with it, but we're also getting glimpses of another parts of the story. So it's kind of going back and forth. But overall, he just sort of feels like he's shut down. We think that he was on the high of being Joker for a while, and now he's not laughing like he was anymore. He's not telling a joke every day like he used to. He's a very much depressed Arthur Fleck, and when he meets Harley Quinn, he starts falling in love with her, and she is the one that sort of reintroduces him to music. Music is her thing in this movie, so that's the part of her he falls in love with, and then starts falling in love with music as well, sort of all over again. And so that's where the music comes from, is it's connected with the dynamic of Joker and Harley Quinn. And so there are multiple musical scenes in this movie. There are some where it's taking place in his head, and there are some where he's singing out loud in front of the prisoners, the guards, just anyone. And so that's why I think people may not have liked it, is because of him singing in the middle of it. But if you remember, this is Joker. He's crazy. He's psychotic. Why can't he sing? He can kill people, but he can't sing. You know, people have like a checklist of what Joker's supposed to be, and I guess singing's just not on that checklist. But anyway, guys, throughout this movie, as he's falling in love with Harley Quinn, this whole trial of Arthur Fleck is the background story. It's sort of the backbone for what this movie is everything goes back to the trial. And as his lawyer is trying to give him the insanity plea, basically, he ends up firing his lawyer because Harley Quinn sort of convinces him that his lawyer is making him into a joke. He wants to represent himself. He wants to defend himself. And so that's where the story moves on. But he's also learned that Harley Quinn lied to him about a few different things. Where she came from, what she did to her parents. She lied about pretty much everything. She is a fan of Joker. And so she's just obsessed with him. That's sort of what Harley Quinn has been before, so it's not really out of character for her. So she lies. Villains do that. This is a villain's movie. And so, of course, he falls back in love with her because she's sort of explaining things, and now he's used to having her around. He likes the comfort of someone else being close to him. And as we learned this trial, he was abused as a child. He was abused throughout his life. And so, from an insanity police standpoint, it almost would make sense that he should belong in an asylum instead of prison. But that's just not where the story went. And so as he's representing himself, he's putting on a show for the crowd. He puts on the Joker mask and the Joker outfit and everything, and he's presenting himself as Joker at this point. And this is what happens for most of it, or most of the rest of the movie at this point after he fires his lawyer, is eventually, as we get to the close, he sort of breaks it down. He's sort of trying to make sense of everything. Harley Quinn has now stated that she's pregnant, if we can believe her, which they didn't officially confirm without a shadow of a doubt that she is. So I think that's up to the audience to speculate whether she was telling the truth there. He's sort of thinking everything. He's reflecting on himself and on everything. And he confesses that there is no Joker. It was him. He's always just been Arthur Fleck. The Joker was how he reacted to things. There wasn't another personality. There is no Ace Chemicals. He's just a guy that became Joker. He took on the Joker persona to react to things in a very extreme manner by killing people. But like I said, we don't have Ace Chemicals. We don't have that side to the Joker. And so Harley Quinn sort of abandons him at this point because he's not Joker anymore. And so abandoning him, he of course he's depressed again because he's falling in love with her. He wants her around. And as we get to the final scenes with his trial, it turns out that Joker fanatics actually set a bomb to go off by the courthouse. At this point, he has been found guilty, but as the bomb goes off, he's able to escape. As Joker fanatics help him into their car and they're escaping, he decides he's already confessed he's not Joker. He's confessed that, to crimes that weren't brought to light yet. And so he's done with that. He wants to just be with Harley Quinn. So as he finds her, after they have this sort of tense moment, the cops arrive, Harley Quinn leaves, and she just abandons him. And so the cops take him back to Arkham. He's prisoner again. And here comes the part that I think people aren't liking, is he is essentially just in prison there. But the courthouse scene, they never said whether or not he was going to get the death penalty. They never said whether he's going to go to Arkham. They just said he's guilty. So as he's taken back to prison, one of the inmates ends up stabbing him. We assume he dies. And this is because he's no longer Joker. Harley Quinn abandoned him because he's no longer Joker. This guy took a knife to him because he's not Joker. And so, as we presume he died, this I think is why a lot of people didn't like the ending, is because of this reason. But there is a lot of explanation for why he would die. One, he is a villain. Two, they weren't doing anything with him. He's not meant to be part of another universe of DC movies yet again. This is always supposed to just be his own thing. And I think Harley Quinn surviving everything going on, I think a lot of people are upset that she survived the movie and Joker did not. And people are simultaneously upset that Joker died at all. So I think the whole thing with Harley Quinn is she was obsessed with Joker. She didn't care about Arthur Fleck. And that's what all these fanatics are about. That was what Arthur Fleck ultimately came to realize, is people didn't care about him. They cared about Joker. And so he wanted to just be Arthur Fleck with Harley Quinn. But that's not what she wanted at that point. And so as he dies, it's tragic. It's upsetting that we lose him in this movie. But he's human. He doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't control the guards or anything. And this is a comic book character. So people can be medically dead for minutes before they're revived. So it is totally possible that he can survive. If he shows up in the next movie, there's plenty of ways that they can explain it. It wouldn't be plot armor. It wouldn't be retconning. There are storylines in the comics where Joker comes back to life. So the fact that that a fanatic shoved a knife in him in the end, that doesn't mean it's necessarily the end for this character. It might be the end for these movies for now, but that doesn't mean it's the end for his character forever. Michael Keaton came back as Batman after, how long has it been? All these Marvel characters coming out of the woodworks. Blade has come back. Joaquin Phoenix might not be done with Joker. He might be done with Joker for now, but I wouldn't say that's forever. So ultimately, I can see why people weren't too engaged with the musical aspect. I can see how they were upset by the end, and how Harley Quinn is sort of the only survivor. I see it as an attempt to sort of give her a spinoff. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I don't think she was meant to take control of Joker's role. I think it was just setting up a spinoff. And who knows? Maybe if he survives medically, if they end up bringing him back, maybe taking him to Ace Chemicals could be part of his survival or part of the return of Joker. Because obviously, Joaquin Phoenix does a phenomenal job playing Joker. So it would make sense for James Gunn or the studio as a whole to not want him back in some shape or form. So overall, I guess I'm on a hill liking this movie. I know a lot of people aren't. I did. That's just my opinion, guys. I mean, I like the movie. I appreciate the fact that there's no superpowers or ace chemicals or Batman. I liked that this was something grounded, something realistic, something human with real stakes. So at the end of the day, if this really is the end, then okay, that's a fitting end. Yeah, it sucks he died by some random guy, but that's realistic. That's just the cruelty of what happens in that sort of scenario. That's the cruelty of Gotham. That's the cruelty of the DC universe. So this was not out of character, all right? I didn't have a problem with how it ended. Would I have preferred he clear as day survived? Sure. But this was not something I had a problem with. I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the musical elements. I thought it added an entertaining side to this otherwise depressing movie. Because Joker, the first one, was a rough watch. This one would have been without the musical aspect, so I'm glad they incorporated it. So please tell me, guys, what you think of this movie. I want to hear fans' opinions. I know that the critics overall for the box office have been it's been strange lately where the critics and audience scores are vastly different. Now, I know that's not the case for this movie specifically, but I still want to hear you guys' comments. Let me know what you think about this movie. If you don't like it, tell me why. I like to. I've explained why. This has been my hot take. I'm on a hill with this, I know, but I'm perfectly fine with that because overall, we got another DC movie that I thought was pretty good. So, thanks guys for sticking with me for this hot take, and I will see you all next time.